You are comfortably zoned with the Zigzag Man in Alameda, California, pushing on the doors of life marked pull and fighting the unholy trinity as we go. Big business, organized religion, and government.
I am back, and you are comfortably zoned with me, the Zigzag Man, and I'm down at the lagoon in Alameda with a phone in my head that's getting radioactive materials, and my guest isn't. He's in San Diego. San Diego, I assume, Johnny D'Acquisto, former Major League pitcher and all-around good guy. How you doing, my man?
Good, Rocky. Actually, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, and you know that's where I'm located now.
I didn't know that, and I don't know whether to congratulate you or not. Two great places to live if you're going to live in the sun and not have winters that are frightening. What's the major difference between Arizona as you see it and San Diego?
San Diego is a beautiful town. I was born and raised there, but it was getting a little bit too heavy on the price to live there. And so we moved here to Phoenix, and it's a lot more affordable, and you get a lot more home for a lot less money. And the taxes are more palatable.
Right. Makes a big difference, I'll tell you.
Just a little.
Listen, you were a guest before. It was, I don't even know where to start. You were so informative and so descriptive of stuff that so let's take this show to talk about two things. I want to talk about, because a lot of the show has been the New York Mets, zoned in Metfield, this, that, and the other thing. I want to talk about my favorite team, the 73 Mets, for a variety of reasons. Just of all time, my favorite team, right? And I want to talk about it with a pitcher who actually pitched to them on a regular basis and go over their lineup and what they were about. And, they get a lot of bad heat for barely being over 500 in that year and playing St. Louis, and but they were a damn good team. Am I correct, Johnny?
Yeah, they're a real good team. In fact, they had a pitching staff that was pretty tough to knock at all. You had Tom Seaver, you had John Matlack. Just two guys that were pretty good pitchers. They also had Tug McGraw in the bullpen that was a pretty good closer, and Gary Kuzman and George Stone.
And they were very deep in the bullpen. They had Sadecki and they had Parker, and but they're hitting Willie. I want to tell you, that's another thing. You pitched against Willie Mays with the Mets. You're still with the Giants. Willie was your teammate. On your Facebook profile picture this week, you've got oh man, it's heartwarming to watch, to see a young John D'Acquisto standing there with Willie Mays, and you were teammates. I guess that was taken in about 71. Am I correct?
Actually, that picture was taken in 1974, and Willie came in with the Mets in 74. And
does he have a Met uniform on? I didn't see that.
He did not. He was in street clothes. He came in to see Mike Murphy and Eddie Logan and say hi to the guys, Bobby Barnes, etc., and Maddox and Matthews. And when he came in, he came up to me and gave me a hug and everything, and vice versa, and asked how I was doing. And there was a cameraman that we had with our ball club. He was standing there, and I said, "Would you take a picture for me?" And he did. And his name was Dennis Dubois. I don't know if you remember him, Ralph, but he was kind of like our team photographer. And Dennis was a great guy. And so Denny took that picture and then gave it to me, and it's a one-of-a-kind shot.
Oh, absolutely. What was it like pitching against him in '73? He stayed a year or two longer than we would have liked to see on some levels. It had to be surreal because he was there to break you in, and you told a great story about him being in center field and giving the signals, and the thrill it was for you as a kid coming up. Now you're pitching against him. You're pretty much a veteran at this point, a young veteran. You want to take me through what went on in your head?
Well, everything, you look at Mays, and he was finishing his career, and, I'm basically just getting into mine, and seeing Willie up there, and I knew, when I saw him when I was a kid in 1971 in our first spring training together, and Charlie Fox always made us so batting practice, to the players so they would see live pitching and get used to it. It was actually a pretty good idea. But I got to throw the Mays then, and I was trying to make the ball club, so I was throwing 99, 100, and Willie walked out to the mound, and he goes, "Hey," he goes, "You are wearing Giants. I am wearing Giants. We are teammates. You do not need to throw that hard to me, okay?" And I said, "Well, I was told to throw hard." "Well, you throw hard, so just throw some BP." I said, I don't know how to throw BP. I'm sorry, but you're going to get my gas. He goes, "Well, if you're throwing some gas," and Bobby Bonds is cracking up and giving him some crap, and it was kind of fun. And but he came out later on and told me, he says, "Man, you throw the ball hard." He said, "I've never seen anybody throw the ball that hard." He says, It's good that you're on our side, not on their side."
Oh, wow. And you were what, 23, 20, 22, 23?
Oh, God, I was only 19, my God. Jesus.
Oh, wow, in 70, wow.
Yeah, 71, I was 19 years old, and then I saw him the next year in 72, and, it was the same thing again, and we were just joking about it now, because now it's my second year, and Charlie always started me off in the first spring training games, so I would get a real good chance. But getting back to the points of
now this is for real baseball, right? Now it's not spring training. You're going at it, and it's as pitching and hitting is. It's mano a mano. That's baseball for the most part. And
I had to go after him. And it was once when I faced him, and it was kind of surreal. It really was surreal. I knew that if I threw him inside and then came outside, with my slider, he would have a problem with it because that was the book on him. But I didn't do that. I went straight fastballs. And he popped the ball up, and that was it. And I'm glad he did pop the ball up, because he was really had a soft spot in there for him because he did break me in, and he did kind of lead me to the right direction and told me what to do. And Willie was really good at that with the kids, and especially the outfielders. He was really close with them, but he kind of took a liking to me, and I respect that in every which way I can think of it. So. But yeah, he was having trouble at the end of his career. A lot of trouble with the it was the high tight, low and away sliders that he was having trouble with.
Right. Hey, speaking of having trouble, the other Willie on that team, Willie McCovey, is having some trouble. This is the end of September. What's this? 28th, 29th, something like that. And Willie is hospitalized. He's got some sort of infection from the many knee procedures he's gone through over the last few years. And he, too, was a teammate on that 71 giant team, and I just wanted to take the moment to just wish him well and his recovery. That
he's a good friend. He's a good friend of mine, and knowing that he's going through these hard times, really saddens you. It's like I've seen a lot of people around me, fall off and pass away, and and have problems medically, and it shouldn't happen. It really shouldn't happen, but it does. And unfortunately, when you see guys like Willie Mack, having these types of problems and in a wheelchair, and such a prince of a human being, that it makes you feel sad. It makes you feel sad at a certain point. That one of your teammates and close friends, has these problems now, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can do the most you can, medically, but I think it's past that point. I really do.
And he's suffered these both knees gone bad, many attempts at replacements and this, that, the other thing, and when you talk about an athlete going through this, not just losing the skills that you lose through age and the normal aging process, but someone reliant on their body, both from a psychological standpoint of taking pride in how, some people can talk, some people can run, some people, everybody has different skills that they spend most of their lives cultivating, and to lose your physical ability. He's a young man. Notwithstanding that, he's been in a walker for many years and doesn't get to play golf anymore. It's just fucked because he's one of the great guys around, and the Giants have had this. Last weekend they had all the Willie Mack award winners come back, and there were like 19, as many as they could get. 19 at Kruko and Becky and Evans and all these guys. And
Baumgartner won it this year too, right?
Yeah. But him not being able to be at the ceremony was really sad for me. I mean, just yeah. So let's get back to quickly, because I know your time is worth a lot, and I go from subject to subject. But some of those 73 Mets, one of the best ball players that's very, very underrated, Felix Millan, was the second baseman on that team.
Oh, yeah. And the man who broke up my no-hitter in 74. How about that?
I thought you might remember him. He was a good, solid ball player.
I like Felix. Felix was...
Yeah.
You couldn't strike him out much, and... he would always, you had to keep the ball down on Felix. If you got the ball up, I don't care how hard you threw, he would always make contact with it and hit it someplace. And, and I knew that going into the seventh inning of my no-hitter, and Felix came up to the plate, and I had no balls and 2 strikes on him, and I threw a ball outside, but it was up, and he hit it over Tito Fuentes' head for a base hit. And then Bobby Bonds kind of didn't get there fast enough, which is rare, and Felix took second, so he got a double out of a little cheap shot single. And, that's the type of player he was. He was a hard-nosed player, and he didn't get the recognition.
Probably running fast right out of the batting box, just in case Bonds doesn't get there. I'd be able to turn the corner and see if he could take that second base. He was a good ball player. And they weren't particularly, there were very few superstars. Rusty Staub was a hell of a hitter in the outfield. You must have come up against him quite a bit over the years. You might have been teammates with him in Montreal. Am I stretching that?
Yeah, I think he was before me.
Right.
Okay. But Yeah, because I pitched against Wayne there. Okay, so that was part of that particular time when he was there. But he's a great hitter, The guys that I was teammates with later on. Well, actually, Jim Fregosi on that '73 team was my manager at California. My rookie card pitcher is with Bob Apodaca.
Bob Apodaca, yes. I remember a Murphy. The Mets had an announcer named Murphy. And one day, Bob Apodaca is coming in from the bullpen, and he just explodes with exuberance and excitement for no reason. And now coming in to pitch for the Mets is Bob Apodaca. And my buddy and I just looked at each other. What the hell? Did you just lose it? There was no particular reason for that. But one of the all-time best names in baseball.
Yep.
Right, am I right? That's a great name to say for an Bob Apodaca.
Yeah, and then Richie Childs. I played with Richie Childs, in the minors, but I played with Richie Childs.
Rich Childs is a coach up in Davis, and which is right near Sacramento at the University of Davis. He was the last I knew of him. He was the part-time center fielder with Jim Gasker and Willie and a guy named Shep.
Yep.
Rich Childs is a good left-handed hitter. He, I think he came from Houston, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, exactly. He did come from Houston, and he played in the Oakland chain for a while. So
right.
That's where I hooked up with him in the minors there. So it was Richie's a good man, good guy.
Hey, tell me your impression. Tell me your impression of Jerry Grody as a catcher. I think Jerry Grody was a terrific backstop.
Well, Jerry Grody was the consummate old school catcher like Dick Dietz. When you look at Muley and you look at Jerry Grody, you're almost looking at the same catcher. But Grody was always in the game and always making moves and had everything down. Look at the pitching staff he handled, for crying out loud. He had Craig Swan, George Stone, Ray Sadecki. He had Doug McGraw. He had Jerry Kuzman, John Matlack, Buzz Capra. Bobby Apodaca would come in later on to be, you got all these top flight pitchers and Tommy Moore, Harry Parker, Don Strohmeyer, Hank Webb. All these guys were all top flight pitchers, and some of them were getting a little older, like Jimmy McAndrews, but Jimmy McAndrews, he was a gamer. And you look at that stuff and you look at Grody, and Grody played 9. Duffy Dyer didn't catch very much, and Duffy was there, and Duffy ended up going over to Pittsburgh because Jerry wouldn't give up the position, so he went over to Pittsburgh and caught over there for a while.
Right, I remember that. Yep.
Yep. They had 2 other
you mentioned, wait a second, I got to interrupt you because I don't want to forget, you mentioned Dickie Dietz, and he was the mule, and I got to know him when I was doing minor league baseball for Topps Baseball Card Company, and he was in San Jose as a batting coach, and he was just a great freaking guy. Him and Hyatt were just terrific baseball men. I really liked the kid. Another guy died much too early, the mule. So I thought I'd throw that in there.
He caught me in my first big league game in Scottsdale, Arizona, in spring training. Muley was behind the plate. Yeah. And it was quite exciting for me. Just to get a kid,
I think he hit 20 home runs one year. I think it might have been 71.
I think so. I believe so, because 72 was a strike year, and that's when they really turned against the mule because he was the player up. And
okay.
Mr. Stoneham thought that, he sold him out. And because Dick was on the executive board of the Players Association, for all the players. And, at that particular point, I think he got a bum rap on that. And a lot of player reps at the time, get a bum rap on because of the strikes, and like I got a bum rap in '81 when the strike happened because I spoke up and spoke my mind, and and then I got sent down to AAA baseball when no moves were supposed to be made, and Buzzy Bavasi sent me down to AAA ball, and I was not supposed to have been moved from the big league roster. There were not supposed to be any moves during the strike year, but he did it anyway. Yeah.
That was a Bush move, and his kid kicked me out of a minor league ballpark in Everett. He owned the team, of course, when I was the Tops guy. After I knew him for 3 years, when Tops and Major League Baseball and minor league baseball were having a to-do, he kicks my ass out of the stadium and doesn't let me sign players.
I know. That's tough for you being the Tops guy. So that's
right.
What your job is. You got to wait for him after the game.
Right. So I don't have. That was Bill. Either Bill Bavasi. No, Bill might have been the general manager of the Angels, but. Right. One of the Bob Bavasi, that's who it is. So fuck you, Bob Bavasi, and Billy, fuck you, you're dead too.
Peter, Peter, Bobby, and Billy. Okay.
Right. Oh yeah. Right. Exactly. Peter, Bobby, and Billy. That's a bum. That's one of the chicken shit things that always separated management from labor, and it went on way before your time when guys, they write books now. I remember Faye Vincent wrote a book. I'd have played the game for free, and he cited all these major league players that would have played it for free. My Aunt Fanny, they wouldn't have played it for free. They were starting, Ralph Kiner and Bob Feller and those people were starting player unions to just get minimum wage in, let alone benefits. Management is just as it is in the world, anti-you. To send some guy. I mean, it took away pension time from you. Not right.
No, it wasn't right. It wasn't right. And basically, I ended up getting blackballed in the process, but. That's the price I had to pay. I was a sacrificial lamb. I worked very close with Marvin Miller, and Marvin gave me some information that was pertinent to ending the strike, and I threw it out there. And next thing I know, I'm gone. And, because Gussie Bush didn't like what I had to say,
Right.
That's the way it goes. That's
the
way it goes.
First your money, then your clothes.
That's right.
And that's how life is. And, you got to go with the waves and take the good with the bad and all that stuff. So, anything else you want to tell me? Just to tell me something that might interest me so I don't have to ask you. What's on your mind? How did you think this season went? And
the season went pretty good. With the injection of the replay system and the field timing coordinator, et cetera, all that, which I got to experience directly. I thought it went extremely well for it being just the first year of trying it. And, everything...
It seemed to be, by the end of the year, it seems to be going, managers knew they had one shot at it, and they also knew that in the late innings, the umpires can call it on their own, and it took a while. They got it, and the whole idea of getting it right is so important that it makes sense. You have to wait a few seconds, and you just hang and talk and discuss it, and it's baseball.
If it is right or not, it really is. It's hard to see it. So there were a lot of things that had to be looked at and had to be protected for the sake of the umpires. And those guys go out there and bust their humps every single game. And it was a working team effort. that really flourished into being a pretty darn well-oiled machine. And, you know, once they got the rhythm in it and found people that they could work with, they enjoyed working. I enjoyed working with the umpire staff, so they were just great guys and treated me really well. And it really, you know, it really worked out fine. And next year, I'm sure things are going to be changed a little bit and fine-tuned a little bit more. In fact, I'm working 18 games this year in the Arizona Fall League. That I'll be being involved in that process. So, you know, I'm excited about that they continue to bring me on as part of their team, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun for me.
Whoa, sirens going by. Maybe it's because John Batista is hot. Hey, that's terrific. I mean, and you enjoy what you do, and nobody gives you a hard time, and you're in baseball.
Exactly. And it's right where I want to be, in baseball. And right. I love every minute of it. And, you know, where can you go to see a baseball game and get paid to do it? You know? Right.
It was like they used to pay my mileage with tops to go around and drive in this beautiful country to see minor league ball, which is terrific, and do it. You get paid for it, and you think to yourself, I'm in heaven. This is what, you know, work is not supposed to be that way.
That's right.
That's why they call it work. This is fun, and when you have a passion and you can pursue it and you can live it, it's great. It really is, and that's how I look at this show. That's how I look at every guest I have has not as much passion as Johnny D, perhaps, but it's a big thing to love what you're doing, to be able to get it across. Hey, Johnny, thanks for coming by.
You're welcome.
We'll do it again whenever you have something to say, whenever you want to get something out there, you want to be cathartic, we'll put it on YouTube for you, and it'll be there for a lifetime.
All right, brother, you take care.
All right, you too, stay healthy and stay well. I'm going to end the show and the segment same way I end every single one. I implore Johnny and everybody listening to keep your humor dry, keep your dreams wet, keep your kids out of recruiting stations. Military recruiters will change your family, and not for the better. And keep your kids off the laps of recruiters, of clerics wearing dresses. You know, just to be on the safe side. A lot of bad stuff has been said over the years, and years and years and years. And it's more than just a lot of bad stuff. So be careful of that, and keep on keeping on. Adios, everybody.